You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Welcome to part 3 of the Cape Wrath Trail, where Lee and I travel on foot from Ullapool to Cape Wrath, the most northwesterly point in Scotland. Join us as we make our way gently along the route suggested in the Cicerone Guide, north to the Cape, over a period of 7 days in early May 2008.
Hi, I'm Catherine Ferguson.
And I'm Colin.
And whereabouts are you guys from?
Inverness.
Yeah. And so have you come out for the bank holiday weekend for a break?
Yes, we have. Got away from work for a while.
So, tell me a bit about this area, because we're passing through and it's absolutely glorious to us. But what does it mean to you?
Yeah, well, a few years ago, Colin's mum and dad went and built a house up here, so it's a kind of home from home for us now.
Yeah.
We spend, well, at least we try and spend time up here, possibly not enough time, and just sort of do a bit of hill walking and some time to ourselves, really, away from the hassle and bustle of what is Inverness.
Yes, real life. And do you meet many people when you're out here? Because we're obviously doing the trail for the first time, but Colin, you're dashing around all over the place.
Yeah, we meet loads and loads of people doing various different things. You get Monroe baggers, you know, the Corbetts, and you get people like yourselves walking through maybe Land's End, John O'Groats, or the trail that Cape Wrath Trail that you guys are doing. Yeah. And we were saying about the sense of community. There does seem to be a great sense of community with the people we've met at the different hostels and certainly a few folk we've spoken to. Is that something special to this area, do you think?
I don't know. I think it is in like your smaller communities, which is more predominantly sort of in the north of Scotland, that we do definitely notice the whole sense of community, and I think we notice it maybe more so than the people that are walking through, because we maybe spend a wee bit of time up here sort of for the weekends and weeks and stuff, and you sort of get into the community a bit more and you get invited to the dances. They're very into sort of helping and supporting themselves. Yeah,
it's the remoteness of the area. They need to help each other to get along and survive and earn a living. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because obviously it's May now, and it's the beginning of the walking season, I suppose the tourist season as such. But what's it like living up here and trying to earn a living? You're visiting the area now, obviously on a more regular basis. How do you find people get by?
It's a very hard place to earn a living. You don't see many crofters driving fancy cars. In fact, normally you see them driving an old beat up car with 2 sheep in the back. So, crofters don't drive 4x4s. It's a really hard place to earn a living. It must be one of the hardest places in Britain to really scratch a living at. But everybody pitches in and they do their bit and they get by. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Most of them have more than one job as well. They'll maybe do a bit of crofting in the summer and possibly fishing sort of in the winter, and when it gets really bad the weather, they'll maybe do sort of handyman jobs, and they do grass cutting for the elderly. They've sort of, it's not just the one job that they do, it's lots and lots, You
were telling me earlier on that the local people bought a lot of land from the landowner several years back.
Yeah, that was the Ascent Trust. What happened was it was owned by one owner, and I think they had plans for it that the local people didn't maybe perhaps agree with. So what they did was they sent up this fund or trust to raise money so that they could buy Ascent off the owners. So Ascent now belongs to the people that live there rather than actually one landowner.
Mm. And has there been any sort of notable change in the area, or any of the activities, or anything as a result of that?
I'm not actually terribly sure, to be honest.
I think people it's hard to say because we're not up here all the time, but I think now that people own the actual area where they stay, I think things are, they take a lot more pride in the area. They're a lot more open. They understand how important tourism is. Everybody's really networked and tight knit now. Whereas before there was one big landowner and he was a big bad guy, but now it's the whole community's area, and not one person owns it. So they share the responsibilities as a community. And it's a big area they cover as well, isn't it?
I'm not sure of
the entire area, but Catherine maybe tell you better.
No, I'm not sure. I think it starts at Lochinver, from Inchnadanf to Lochinver, and it comes up just past Kylesku, and then I'm not sure how far west it goes, but it is a big area that's covered, and I think about 2/3 of it is covered with water.
Well,
Maybe useless information for you.
well, at least they've got the fishing rights, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, it's a very, very welcoming community, and certainly I think that's the common thread that, I mean, we've always found that with walking through Scotland anyway, particularly in the Highland areas. But certainly Lee and I are finding that everywhere we go, there's a genuine warmness with people and a genuine welcome.
Yeah, definitely. We've noticed that if you go into, say, a local shop or whatever, they do know that you're not a local, and they're very friendly towards you. They're very open, but not just the people. I think it rubs off on the people that are visiting as well, because when you do meet people that are out with the area, they seem to sort of are a lot more open to speaking to you and things like that. I mean, I don't know about yourselves, but if you meet anybody sort of from out with the area in their own area, they would maybe say hello and keep walking, whereas with you being out in the open, if you do meet them and in here, you generally tend to have a bit of a laugh and get a bit of a crack with them.
Well, like we have with you guys, right?
Yes, definitely, yeah. Yep.
So Saturday evening looms. It's 7:30, and we've finally set up camp in a very unusual place on the village of Kylesku. Now, if you look on the map, it would appear that there's a village and quite a few buildings here, and I was expecting a shop and a post office and various other things. Well, it used to be the ferry section to cross the estuary, but now there's a very dramatic bridge which does that on the A road, and the ferry terminal, as it were, is no longer in existence. And it is actually underneath that very dramatic bridge that we've been advised to camp. Catherine and Colin very kindly gave us a lift down the boring 4 or 5 miles of road that we would have had to have walked as we came off the hillside there, and dropped us off in the village, and they were equally surprised as we were that it consisted of, well, a hotel, pub, restaurant and nothing else by all parents' images. But it would appear that the post office is there. It is in fact a wooden shack next to somebody's house, and I believe there is a little shop there, and there's also a boat ride place there. And whilst having a drink there, the barman suggested that this was the ideal place to camp for this evening. So we're set up with a marvellous view, but with an A road running over the top of us. It's bizarre, isn't it, Lee?
Yes, nice with the green grass, and there's some lovely views out to the sea and the loch, and some big concrete pillars with the sound of cars going across the top of it.
But actually, in actual fact, it's a lovely spot.
Yeah, it is lovely, really. Yeah, just use your imagination.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll take some photographs of this because it's bizarre as much as it's brilliant. But it's been a very enjoyable day. The weather's been really been kind to us today as much as yesterday. And I certainly feel I've caught the sun a bit with the wind, and I think you have as well.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I'm very suntanned now, and I look like I've been to the Bahamas, really, not Scotland.
Well, this evening, of course, means that the camping location and also the immediate facilities around me means I can fire up the Bush Buddy tonight for the first time. I've carried it all this way. I'm determined to use it, so I shall be cooking this evening's pasta meal on the Bush Buddy, and inviting Lee over for a bit later on if he likes to bring a bottle with him.
Very kind of you. Yeah, I'll bring a bottle, yes, of water, I'm afraid, but...
We'll have a chin wag a bit later on, but I'm interested in getting that going now and seeing what we're having for supper. I think I'm going to have a pasta saucy dish, something or other. So I have no idea what the weather forecast is, and quite honestly, I really don't care. We've battled on through good and bad. It is a very, very rewarding walk, and Lee and I are both saying early on it's not really a walk for a novice. Not really demeaning anybody's skills or knowledge, but really you do need to be confident about looking after yourself, because these are much more remote parts than perhaps obviously the Central Highlands.
Yes, definitely so. Yeah, you're going to seem to be a lot of climbing up and climbing down and then back up again, and I think your level of fitness needs to be just a little bit better than the average. Yeah, the average, definitely.
And also, I think route finding, your map reading, and your those sort of skills need to be good. Obviously, these days we do tend to rely on GPSs, but map reading skills are always vital.
Yeah, I think so, and I must admit, Bobby, you're pretty, top class at that. But I've got this route was plugged into my GPS just in case.
Well, we've been lucky. We've veered off the path a few times, but it's been a very interesting trip, and we found it again at the end, which was good. Anyway, I'm going to leave Lee to rustle up his pack and go meal tonight, which is what have we got tonight?
I think I've got vegetable bolognese.
Oh, how delightful. Okay then. Well, we'll swap recipes a bit later on and have a sample and see what we think.
Yes, and what's that? Mixed fruit custard.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around at my place a bit later.
Yeah, see you later. I'll bring a bottle.
Right. Well, tonight's delightful meal. I think we're going to be starting with what are we having? Japanese noodles, and then going on to pasta as the main course, with a bit of jerky chucked in as well to give it the meat flavour. I've remembered all my instructions from Andrew at Nomad Bushcraft about getting the tinder ready for my bush buddy. So in fact, where we camped is right next to birch trees, so the birch trees themselves were peeling, so I've buffed up the peel to allow for the tinder. I've got a little bit of sheep wool there. You can hear the sheep in the background. Thank you very much indeed, as if on cue, which also makes good tinder. Okay, that's enough, thank you very much. And I'm now about to fire up the old bush buddy, so let's see if, after all this training, it works. Lots of sparks. I smell smoke. It's definitely... It feels like it wants to. Yes! And there we go! Look at that! A real fire. Oh, all the comforts are home. Well, that tinder's really going well. So once that gets going, I shall take a photograph of this for posterity. If there's extra noise and rattles, it's because I've got the microphone just tucked into my chest pouch at the moment. And sure enough, the sheep wool is catching, which is not the best, most pleasant smell in the world. But I've got a bag full of small tinder here, which are small little twigs about, I don't know, it's no thicker than a pencil, as my main tinder. And I'll be just dropping those in there to encourage it once it gets going. And I've also got some thicker well, you don't actually need anything thicker than a pencil, but what I've done, because I hope to be having a chat with Lee a bit later on and obviously socialising as it were, I've also brought with me a Opinel mini saw, super lightweight saw. And so actually I've sawn up a couple of branches of dead wood, which are about, I don't know, less than an inch thick, probably about half an inch thick or so. And I've got a pile of those to one side, which will be just a bit of warmth and entertainment this evening, shall we say. But the bush buddy is fired and going well, and in fact what I'm not doing is getting on with the cooking, so I need to get the water sorted. Obviously where we're located there's no fresh water, so we had to load up at the hotel there, and so just get enough to get those noodles going, and that looks about right. So I'll let you know exactly how it goes a bit later on, but at the moment I'm smoking beautifully, flames firing away. Time for a picture, I think. Well, the noodles have turned out really well. I throw in some dried tuna as well, and make a nice starter for the meal actually. So I'm just chomping on those. The bush buddy is glowing beautifully, and I've just thrown another couple of logs on the fire, some twigs on the fire, and I'm going to enjoy this now and come back to you in a while when I cook the dried pasta. But this part of the meal has been a packet of Japanese yakisoba noodle soba noodles, and some dried tuna, which reconstituted very quickly, and that's been lovely. So I'll move on to the pasta next, and the view is spectacular. Well, the rest of the evening went very well. The cooking was a great success. Bush Buddy worked very, very well indeed, and just reminded me what a pleasure it is to have something like that, rather than the gas or meth stoves. It was sort of quite nice to have something to play with, as if you like, to keep just feeding the fire. And the meal was a great success, and then after we both finished, Lee came and sat in the Shangri-La 3 with me, and we just fed the fire and chewed the fat for half an hour. But one thing we did realise, once we studied the maps, is just what a size day we've got today. It's a big one, actually. Not that we intend to get as far as Kinlochbervie. We certainly need to get from here over the next range down to Loch Stack. There's a couple of paths that we're going to try and take, and then run parallel to the A383 up. What's that called? Loch Garb Moor, to get to Ricosh, and then from Ricosh to Kinlochbervie is another 5 or 10k. We're certainly not going to get all the way to Kinlochbervie, and certainly we're trying to get as close as we can to that previous, well, I say village. It looks like it's just got a hotel on the main road there. But it's a biggie. I reckon we must be needing to do about 30 to 35k today. The reason for that is that we both want to get to Sandwood Bay for Monday night, then get up to Cape Wrath and back down on the Tuesday, so we've got Tuesday night there as well, and then time to pick the bus up at Kinlochbervie on Wednesday. So that's our time scale, and Lee has basically taken the Cape Wrath book and doubled the days. They were an enjoyable walk, but he felt 2 short days. We could do it more like in challenge days, and try and get it all done in a week rather than 2 weeks. So if you are considering this and you want to take a lot of time and get a lot of pleasure out of it, and not overstretch yourself, then do consider doing as the book suggests, and doing it on a daily basis rather than try to cram too much in. Having said that, we've hit the main flesh spots. This morning we've woken to a lovely sunrise. There's a bit of a cool breeze, but it's not too cool. The sky looks relatively welcoming, not too many dark clouds in the sky. We are underneath this huge monstrosity of a bridge which is towering over us, which is an incredible feat of concrete and engineering. And a magnificent view, and if it wasn't for the bridge, this would be an absolute perfect camping spot. Anyway, so it's time to pack the tents up. What time is it now? He says, press the button on the watch. It is 20 past 7. We'll try and get going early today. We've been starting off each day about 9:30, but today's special, so there's an extra couple of hours will make all the difference. So I'll catch up with you a bit later on, and we'll see how we get on today. And yes, wish us luck. Well, it's about 2.5 hours now, or probably a bit more than that, into the day. It's almost 12 o'clock, and we've got to the top of the ridge, coming up from Kylesku. We've followed the track along the side of the sea loch, and then the climb, which in places was a bit like the Corrieric actually. There was quite some steep climbs in there. The road was good underfoot, but it took considerably longer than both of us anticipated. We thought it would be an hour and a half before we get here, not 2.5 hours. Tough going in places, Lee?
Yeah, very tough, Bob. A lot of height gain. But, weather's on our side. A bit windy, a bit cool, but that's stopping us overheating, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not cold. It's just a coolish breeze. Definitely, the Paramo's too warm, so we're both wearing our Montane light speeds and just a base layer, and just venting. And it's that type of day. I mean, the weather's not doing anything particularly exciting. It's just overcast and a general breeze, which is on our side. But I've had a bit of a potential disaster.
We were talking, as we have over the last few days, about people saying that sometimes their innovates don't last very long. And I couldn't quite understand it because I've had mine for some time now, and Lee's obviously very pleased with his Terox. I've got my Rocklight 315s, and we got to the top of the climb, and I put my foot on a rock and my foot rolled to one side, and sadly next to it was a very sharp rock which cut the side of my shoe. I think it's the rand, through the rand almost through to my little toe. So I've got a sort of an inch long cut on the side of my foot at the moment, and I'm looking at that thinking, is that going to last the rest of the day, so get us to where we need to be, and also what have I got in my rucksack to repair it. So far it doesn't appear to have extended very far, the last mile or so, so I'm fingers crossed that if we can get to where we're going tonight and I can dry the shoe off, I'll probably try and use some of the repair glue that came with the Thermarest to see if that will just patch it up and hold it together, and a bit of gaff tape. I know the gaff tape will come off when it's wet, but just something to hold it together for the rest of the trip, because it would be heartbreaking to have my shoes fall apart on the last day or so. So we've got a dilemma now. We either drop down 400 metres into the valley and then climb another 200 metres through the woods, or we climb another 105 metres to the peak that's over to the north of where we are at the moment. We're just sort of hunkered down by a stone wall, and then make our own way down to join the same path as it drops down to the loch, the main road and the loch, before we cross over and start again, which is down at Lochstack Lodge. So that's where we're heading. I have a feeling we're going to go up and just risk going down, just take it steady, because it cuts off a good 5 or 6k at least, which is the path we would have taken round Bend Stack. And then we've got a fairly low level walk past several lochans before turning northwest and heading as far as we can towards the main road again. Probably finding a wild camping spot tonight, all being well.
Yeah, hopefully, Bob. Just before, I think it's Rinnock Hotel. So, like I say, find a nice camping spot there, a bit of nice green grass by a loch would go down a treat, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I doubt if we'll make Rannoch Hotel even if we pushed it, would we?
No, I don't think so. I don't. And we've had enough beer on this trip, so we can manage one night, Bob.
Well, speak for yourself. Yeah, we can manage. But as you might appreciate, that shoe business is just something that just makes you think, and I haven't got any spare footwear with me, so I'm just going to have to get on with it and see how we get on. So I'm sure we'll report back if it all falls apart and we have a disaster. I'll have to start wearing your size 12 Crocs or whatever it is.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, that wouldn't have happened with heavyweight leather boots, Bob.
No, indeed it wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have climbed that hill so fast either. No. Anyway, we'll pick up a bit later on, but we need to crack on, and we've got a lot of miles to cover at the moment, so let's battle through it. The view isn't as spectacular. It is a spectacular view, but you can't see it. It's too misty, sadly. But still very, very impressive, very enjoyable, and apart from the minor incident, feeling in fine form. So we'll catch up with you later. Well, it's now Monday morning, and we had quite a day yesterday. After the last piece where I was discussing my shoe splitting, which thankfully didn't get worse during the day, we took the shorter route, which is the shorter climb over the top and straight down the other side. But it really was not one for the navigationally challenged, because you had to pick your descent very, very carefully as you made your way down through the quite serious rock faces in places, and also quite boggy. It was very, very intense work, wasn't it, Lee?
Yes, very intense, quite hard work, but quite rewarding, I think.
I think the one thing that struck us both was just the isolation of it all. I mean, we were both very, very aware that if we made the slightest mistake and had anything worse than a sprain, one of us would have to sort it out, and it was definitely the case that we never saw anybody or any signs of anybody for most of the day.
No, we didn't see anybody at all, did we? So from the start to the finish.
No.
Yeah, no walkers, stalkers, or nobody. Surprising, really,
Yeah,
considering
yeah.
the beautiful scenery.
So it's holding true to its fame, of course. The actual trip as being fairly rugged country and also very remote. We caught up with the Stalker's path through Strath Stack, which is the path that we joined, which originally would have gone through a wood, small forest area, and then made our way down to Lockstack Lodge on the A838. And we initially intended to head northeast from there, and then cut northwest through a long valley past a couple of lochs to Reconick. However, the weather had turned against us, and I think it was probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock when we got down to the road. And to be fair, it was pretty tough going, and we both decided that discretion was the better part of valour, because of the timescales that we're actually on, having to get to Sandwood Bay by tonight. We really had to speed up somehow. So we decided to take the road and walk from Lockstack Lodge round to Reconick Hotel, as it was, in sort of fairly miserable drizzle, but it was warm rain, so it wasn't too unpleasant. It was just a long slog on sore feet, really, after such a tortuous day. But certainly both our legs had really taken a pounding. We felt it by the time we got round to the hotel. And I think it would be fair to say we were shattered, weren't we, Lee?
Yeah, absolutely shattered. I don't think we could have gone any further, so to save our feet for the rest of the journey, we decided to stay put in the mob.
Yeah, it was a 9.5 hour trip from start to finish to get there, and certainly staying put seemed to be the better option. So thankfully they had a room for the night, so I hope people forgive us our indiscretions of not wild camping, but certainly it was extremely rewarding, and we're feeling very refreshed this morning as we are heading down the road to Kinlochbervie at the start of this glorious day. For future reference, for those listening to this thinking about the wild camping, and certainly camping in general on this route, two things that really need to be brought to the attention. Really, wild camping spots are very, very few and far between. Very rugged land, great landscape, and if you were bivvying and possibly using a tarp, you would have more success than with a tent. But we've really struggled, just generally in conversations we go through the day, trying to find a spot in the terrain that we're passing through that would make an ideal spot, and there haven't been that many.
No, I've hardly come across any, really, haven't we? I think the ones where we have camped have been about the only ones possible, haven't they? We've never been sport for choice at all. No,
it's been something to consider, and the other thing to consider would be getting supplies. Certainly we haven't seen anywhere selling gaths and meth since Ullapool, which is a good few miles ago. None of I don't think we've actually seen any small shops, to be honest, just the occasional post office. There's been no supplies at all from that point of view. Of course, there might be something at Kinlochbervie. I gather there's some campsites there, so I'm guessing there may be some supplies, but something worth considering. So certainly balancing the weight of what you're carrying with what you needs to be thought through, and perhaps posting things ahead would be a wise choice. Anyway, the shoes are holding together. I glued them last night with some Thermarest glue. They seem to be sealed, and the cut hasn't opened any further, so that's one worry over. It's turned into a glorious day. The weather forecast is 16 degrees today, slight mist and possibly thunderstorms a bit later on, but at the moment it's blue skies with a blue sky with a couple of fluffy clouds, and that's it. Fantastic views. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, same here, yeah, and I think it's 16 degrees already, I think, Bob.
Yeah. Again, we've dressed for the challenge type conditions early May, which can be snow and frost right through to a bit of sunshine, but I think generally as the walk has gone, it's been quite a warm one.
Yes, every night's been fairly mild, really. We've not had a frost. I've certainly not had to wear all my gear at night that I've brought, so probably when I'm on the challenge it'll all come into use, I presume.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit cooler in the Central Highlands. There's been only one night that we've camped to the 4 or 5 nights, which has been a decent breeze. The rest of the nights have just been incredibly still, possibly unusual, but it seems to suit this part of the country, which obviously catches part of the Gulf Stream as well, and it would appear to be a few degrees warmer and certainly more pleasant up here than the rest of mainland England. Anyway, I think I've covered enough at the moment. We've got 4 miles to go to Kinlochbervie. We haven't got any choice but to go down the road. Again, time is against us in many respects, and also there aren't any stalkers paths or footpaths marked which would be easy going, so we decided the urgency today is to get to Sandwood Bay, as that really is our main goal, and then we're told that it's tough but fairly straightforward going to get up to Cape Wrath, so we'll add a bit more a bit later on.
Our reference Cicerone guide for the trip north to the Cape by Dennis Brooke and Phil Hinchcliffe states, when designing a trekking route, many alternatives present themselves, and the factors in the selection include practicalities and personal preference. Mostly, there is little difficulty in choosing. However, in this case, we had a dilemma. Should we take the straightforward road walk from Reconic through Kinlochbervie to Blairmore, or pioneer a cross-country route from the A838 Durness Road to Sandwood Bay? We finally chose the former because we felt the variety of scenery, the lochside walk, the communities, the facilities and the interest at the fishing village of Kinlochbervie outweighed the disadvantage of the road walk. We judged the latter to be an unspectacular plod across difficult and probably wet country with no facilities. However, our choice does not have to be yours. If you abhor road walking, do find a cross-country route. The B801, there aren't many B roads in this part of Scotland, from Reconic to Kinlochbervie, is newly widened and easy, albeit twisting. Presumably this has been modernised to give good vehicular access to the fishing harbour from the modernised A838 and the A895. When we first visited the area in the 1960s, all the roads were single track with passing places, which made what is now a half-hour journey twice as long. Being a short walk from Reconic to Kinlochbervie, we do recommend 1 or 2 diversions to explore the small communities, in particular a browse around the harbour at Kinlochbervie. You will find it a surprisingly busy place, as it is the most important fishing village in the North West Highlands. There is a shop named The London Stores on the B801 just before the village. It once claimed to be the furthest shop on the west coast of mainland Britain from the city which bears its name. However, there is another shop and a bakery on the new small industrial estate in Kinlochbervie, which now lay claim to the distinction of being the last shops in the west. There are also 2 hotels in the village and 1 or 2 B&Bs off route near Blairmore. The route from the car park at Blairmore to Sandwood Bay presents no real difficulty beyond a wet, boggy path in places. Scenery-wise, it is unremarkable, crossing featureless moorland for many a long mile. Just after leaving Blairmore, look backwards. The scenery is much more interesting. The ultimate reward for this trudge is the charm and isolation of Sandwood Bay. Were it not 6 kilometres from a motor road, it would be ideal for young families. When we were first at Blairmore, there was neither car park nor a gate, and it was possible to get a vehicle well down the track. From a walker's point of view, it is as well that there is now no vehicular access. You may find it strategically advantage to camp at the bay, perhaps at the northeast corner of Sandwood Loch, which is a fresh water loch. It is a popular place, so do remember to leave no trace.
Once again, we've been very lucky in the 6 or so days that we've been walking. Been blessed by an absolutely glorious day, and the locals here are all saying it's the best day of the year so far. We've made it down along the road to Kinlochbervie, and thought we'd just double check the live firing, which is in the danger area. That's between Durness and Cape Wrath, and sadly it would appear that there is a live firing taking place tomorrow, which is the day that we want to make our way from Sandwood Bay up to Cape Wrath and back. So after much deliberation of exactly where the live firing might be and how it affects our proposed route, we feel that it's some distance away anyway, and we are outside the marked danger area on the map, but we'll probably play it cautious and wait till later on in the day when the firings should be coming to an end before we perhaps make a move, or get up very, very early and do it the other way around. Walk up to Cape Wrath before the firing commences and come back when it's finished. So be interesting to see what sort of recording we get tomorrow. There's definitely a different accent to the people that live here, the locals. You can tell it's a Scottish Highland accent mixed with a hint of Irish. It's very unique to the local people, but they're equally charming and equally welcoming, and showing concern that we're having a good time, and also that we don't get blown to bits in the process.
Yeah, that's right. I find them very friendly, and as you just said, the accent, it's very easy to understand, and they're exceptionally friendly. But one person just said, have a good day, and I hope you come back.
That'd be a result, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So where are we now? We've come out of Kinlochbervie along the end of the road, which has been a bit of a boring long walk, but a very pleasant day, so it hasn't been too bad. And we're now taking the established path to Sandwood Bay. Very much looking forward to it. Apparently there's a beached killer whale on the bay, which will be interesting to see. Not necessarily pleasant, but interesting. And if we do get to the Cape and back tomorrow, another local has given us another route back from Sandwood Bay, which we'll report on apparently, which is a charming route down the valley of the loch, and the loch is a freshwater loch, so apparently we'll be okay for water. So that's about it really. Been very, very fortunate weather-wise. Keep our fingers crossed that the war doesn't come to us tomorrow, and we'll fill you in a bit later on when we've set up camp, and hopefully watching the sun go down in what we understand to be, and we're expecting to be, one of the most pleasant beaches ever to be found in the UK.
Thanks for joining us on this part of the trip. Excerpts were read from the Cicerone Guide North to the Cape, which is available from cicerone.co.uk. Join us next time as we move closer to our goal, walking through some of the most spectacular and remote scenery in the UK on the Cape Wrath Trail.
This independent programme has been brought to you by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.